Cass was the youngest and most beautiful of five sisters. Cass was the most beautiful girl in town. Half Indian with a supple and strange body, a snake like and fiery body, with eyes to go with it. Cass was fluid, moving fire. She was like a spirit stuck into a form that would not hold her. Hello,
Everybody
everybody, and welcome.
to the
Type Bukowski Pod. Episode Dos Amigos, por favor. Correct?
if you want to put please at the end. Yeah, sure.
How dare you? Yeah. Okay. In the first episode, where we learned about how we learned about Bukowski, you all sent a lot of nice things. So thank you. That was great.
Much appreciated.
Much appreciated. You guys could have been complete fucking assholes, and you decided to be human. So I appreciate you. But more likely than not, most of the assholes who listen to this show probably won't listen to it until we have like 5 episodes out. So for those of you like retro listening, just be nice and don't be a dick. That's just the rule, you know? All right.
Cool.
Anything else happen in the last amount of time since we last booked all over ourselves?
Um, I don't know, just life one day at a time. I turned 33
Oh
last
my
Sunday.
God. You
I know.
Christ. Yeah.
Just brunched it out, so that was good. $10, unlimited mimosas. So you can't really go wrong there unless if you're driving. So don't drive if you're opting in for that. I did not, so very grateful.
$10 bottomless mimosas. Oh my God.
Yep, at this shitty brunch restaurant in my hometown.
I'm going to be turning some other horrific number like in a couple days. And I'm probably not going to be able to get $10 bottomless mimosas. And that makes me sad.
I'll just go back and drink more for you.
I'll probably end up with a bacon Bloody Mary from somewhere and be like, oh, this is amazing until I get the bill. And then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Like, I can get a whole pig for this amount of money. You bastards. All right, cool. Well, happy birthday,
Happy almost birthday to you,
Pisces life.
Pisces life.
Huh.
Even though it's a bird, pretend it's a fish.
That you fucked
I don't
that.
know. You're welcome.
It's a butterfly. Is that wait,
Well, I think of the Napoleon Dynamite when I see
what's
that.
that meme where the guy's like, is that a butterfly? Or wait, is this a butterfly?
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know the name of the meme, but I know the T.
Yeah,
This is Napoleon Dynamite. He did like that move in
his dance with his
his
Uggs.
little dance number. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep it relevant.
Very, yeah. And current,
Very hip.
topical,
Always.
like a cream. All right, cool. So, this week at the Bukowski Book Club, we're doing the Rooming House Madrigals, and we're doing um the first page of the table of contents this week. So if you want to check any of this out, just go to my YouTube channel where you're watching this if you're watching the video. If you're listening to this, oh, we should tell people about that because Substack's up, right?
Yep, we have it up exclusively on Substack for audio, and in the show notes, we always link the YouTube channels and all the fun stuff too, as well as our websites and social media to check out other updates.
Okay, and so we don't have it up yet where podcasts can be found. What do people say?
Yeah, anywhere you listen to podcasts. That I'm waiting on because I'm kind of doing like a trial to see how Substack works because allegedly, like with the RSS feed, you can actually have it automatically go to all those other platforms. But then from what I've read, like SEO, it might be better to do everything manually. So I just kind of want to see how things analytically work organically on Substack.
That's
Boring nerd stuff.
that's not
Yeah,
stuff. I like it.
excellent.
Okay, so but yeah, we're doing page 13, $22,000 in 3 months to the dogs on page 76, if you want to follow along. But by the time you see this, we'll probably be in the second week of this. So catch the fuck up. And we'll be doing Imbecile Night on 77 to Nothing Subtle to 130 on 137. So, and we thought we would start with a poem. So, I'm going to read The Genius of the Crowd on page 31 of the Black Sparrow edition. Again, this is a Black Sparrow edition, so some of those page numbers I just said I realize might be wrong. So apologies if you are following along in a Echo HarperCollins edition. All right. The Genius of the Crowd. There is enough treachery, hatred, violence, absurdity in the average human being to supply any given army on any given day. And the best at murder are those who preach against it. And the best, okay, and the best at hate are those who preach love. And the best at war, finally, are those who preach peace. Those who preach God need God. Those who preach peace do not have peace. Those who preach love do not have love. Beware the preachers. Beware the knowers. Beware those who are always reading books. Beware those who either detest poverty or are proud of it. Beware those quick to praise, for they need praise in return. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Yep, hang on. Up there we go.
Ding, flip the page.
God damn, that was ridiculous. Beware those quick to censure. They are afraid of what they do not know. Beware those who seek constant crowds. They are nothing alone. Beware the average man, the average woman. Beware their love. Their love is average, seeks average, but there is a genius in their hatred. There's enough genius in their hatred to kill you, to kill anybody. Not wanting solitude, not understanding solitude, they will attempt to destroy anything that differs from their own. Not being able to create art, they will not understand art. They will consider their failure as creators only as a failure of the world. Not being able to love fully, they will believe your love incomplete. And then they will hate you. And their hate will be perfect, like a shining diamond, like a knife, like a mountain, like a tiger, like hemlock, their finest art. One thing I want to point out about this compared to other poems of his, besides him getting, and again, this is early shit, him getting kind of like E.E. Cummings all over the place. Every
Yeah.
word, or every word is capitalized. It's like a Ric Flair tweet. Okay. Woo! And that's very not like him to capitalize every word, or just do all caps. So it's interesting. Like he was playing around trying to find stuff. And again, like last week, like the poem is going a certain way, and then it's like hemlock, like going through the poem's ending. So I gotta like I have to wane poetic, you know.
Mhm.
So but it's a very good poem. Very, very good.
What's the date range on Rooming House again? I know they're like selected early poems, but
46 to 66.
oh wow, gotcha.
Yeah, and then in the Back to the Machine Gun Volume 1, um, this is manuscripts from 59 to 74. So I don't I don't know exactly if things in here are in that. I'll need to like go through each thing and kind of look. I also don't know. There's a, God damn it. There's like a way to figure this out, but I don't know. I'll have to read the introduction. But like some of the things are all caps and some of them aren't. And there's a reason.
Mhm.
Like that means that they're this. And if they're like this, that means they're like this. So I have to go back and look what the fuck that means. But yeah, cool.
I brought up one too. The one I saw that just kind of I was just feeling in that first section, probably because I'm usually up at this time every day. It's literally, at least in my version, it's right after the Genius in the Crowd, and it's called 4:30 a.m.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, 4:30 a.m. The fields rattle with red birds. It is 4:30 in the morning. It is always 4:30 in the morning, and I listen for my friends, the garbage men and the thieves, and cats dreaming, red birds dreaming, worms, and worms dreaming along the bones of my love. And I cannot sleep, and soon morning will come. The workers will rise, and they will look for me at the docks, and they will say, "He is drunk again." But I will be asleep finally, among the bottles and sunlight. All darkness gone, my arms spread like a cross, the red birds flying, flying, roses opening in the smoke, and like something stabbed and healing, like 40 pages through a bad novel, a smile upon my idiot's face. I just think that's a fun one.
So
And
you
anything with cats, I'm all about. So,
and I like that line with devouring his love or whatever. Like that
yeah,
uh like he was writing a lot of poems around that time about Jane.
I was going to say that has to be Jane.
Worms dreaming along the bones of my love. Yeah, good stuff. We're definitely gonna
Totally.
think about that sometime. And
Yeah.
honestly, there's some of that in what we're gonna be talking about today. Good segue. Look at that.
Da, da, da.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. So today we're going to be doing the story. We're going to talk about it. The Most Beautiful Woman in Town by Chucky B. We're going to hear all about it from Shaylin.
Yeah, this is probably like I mean, he has a lot of varying like short stories, but this one I always felt like stylistically was a little bit different. But at the same time, like thematically, there are some things that we just know Bukowski is just notorious for. And I think it's always just that motif of like doomed romance. You see that in so many of his short story collections. You see it in Women, you see it in Factotum. So anything with being love, it's like you can't have love without suffering, and it's just always this inseparable thing. And I just really love this piece personally.
I go back and forth because I really feel like it's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different women, but I was trying to figure out like who. And I'm trying to do the math in my head, but I don't think he met Linda King until 1970. But there's a lot of things in here that make it seem like this was written after that. But I don't know because I think it was published before that. And like,
Yeah, because it was published in 1967, and Linda was like what, like when he was like 50, 55.
I think he was 50.
Yeah.
So that would be 70, right?
Yeah, it was he was born in 1920, so like this would have been right before he turned 50, like a few years.
So yeah, and then you said it was published in Adam when?
Okay, so it was originally appeared in Open City in 1967, and then it was published in Adam in 1969.
Again, we're reading this out of The Most Beautiful Woman in Town, the book. And this is the first half of a bigger book called Erections, Ejaculations, Exhibitions, and General Tales of Ordinary Madness that City Lights put out in, I believe, 72.
Yeah.
Part two of that book is what Tales of Ordinary Madness is. And I believe these both came out in 83
Mhm.
separately. But the one I have, the cover photo, is from 88, which is funny. This is why I'm having such a hard time with this because, like, the five sisters, I believe that's Linda. And the whole thing about like them worrying about them fucking each other's men and all that shit, that's totally Linda. And I don't think Jane had sisters. I don't remember ever hearing about her having sisters that were a part of anything, but Jane was half Native American allegedly, but I don't know if Linda King was. And this can't possibly be it. Just the timelines don't match up. But like also the girl and woman, the belly dancer from Toronto or whatever, like I always felt her in this story.
Same, same. And also, I mean, at the end, it tells you that, she was 20 years old when she,
Yeah.
killed herself at the end of the book. So, um,
And like Linda, he was 20 years older than Linda King.
right.
And but Jane was 10 years older than him. And then meeting her at the bar, like that's Jane. Uh,
Totally. But at the same time, I mean, circumstantially, you're going
yeah,
to meet people at bars, right?
yeah. But like the whole idea where the bartender is like, hey, keep her quiet and all this other stuff, like that's Jane. Her hustling,
Mhm.
like it's $10, but you get it for free. That's Jane. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of it does seem like Linda though. But it just like I'm like this has to be like maybe he wrote this when they were just early on. I don't know. I can't but then again, I don't know. And I actually have somewhere here. Um, I wonder if it actually says in there. I have the book that she wrote, Loving and Hating Charles Bukowski. Actually, let me
Mhm.
go fucking look real quick. Give me 2 seconds. I think I know where it is. If it's not
Oh, yeah,
here.
you're good.
Okay, I also have Scarlet somewhere, but I can't find it, and my kid can't find it. So I guess that means it's in storage, but I don't remember seeing it there. Okay, so here is Loving and Hating Charles Bukowski. I'm gonna see if there is a wow, dude. Bigger print, guys. Bigger print. Like what the fuck? Like am I some kind of weird, crazy person who could read little shit like that? Okay. Um Some of these poems appeared in the following publications. Okay, all of these start in 72. Okay, with that said, do you know how long they were together?
Oh, geez. I mean, they were so on and off too, because it's like she would come and go, and like she would do something fucking crazy, and then he would, go to Houston for a weekend or something. So I have no idea.
Okay, we're gonna do some research right now. Are you ready? Because it doesn't have a date. Wait, nope. It was the night of July 2nd, 1970, outside the bridge. Boom. July 2nd, 1970. Okay. So how the fuck did this story, like that Five Sisters bit, that can't fucking be right. Cass was the youngest and the most beautiful of five sisters. I don't believe it.
You don't think it was just circumstantial since this was written like a few years before they first met, or
I just don't know if this was really written a few years before they first met. If this was published, if the collection was originally published in 1972 and they met in 1970, even though this said it was printed in 1969. Wait, no, but that was July. It wouldn't be like one of those things where,
yeah, because I just saw that this single story itself came out in Open City in 1967.
yeah, that's what that says. I don't know if that's true. Like I would want to like see because see if you back when there was the Bukowski database, like most people would have a copy of it and put a picture of it up and show it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And let's say like, okay, maybe it wasn't an open city in 67, but maybe it was an atom in 69. Okay, let's just say. Okay, if it was in atom in 69, could it be one of those things where it's like where the magazine has a date, but like it comes out like on a different date, but like
Yeah,
meeting someone in July of 1970, that just doesn't check out. I mean, what are the odds that like Cass is the youngest, most beautiful of five sisters? Cass is the most beautiful woman in town or girl in town. Half Indian,
right.
supple and strange body, a snake-like face with a fiery body with eyes to go with it.
Well, since this collection was like the ejaculations and so forth, part one collection came out in 72. I mean, who's to say he didn't just further adapt the story when they republished it with all these other works?
Right? That's why, like, that's what pisses me off that the database is gone because, like,
Hmm.
you'd be able to like cross-reference this shit. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, oh, now I got to find a copy of Open City on Abe Books and try to buy that and try
That's
to.
what I was thinking. I'm like, I could try to look through there. I don't know.
Do I
Yeah,
still have Abe on my phone? Oh my God, look at me. Some sort of fool. Um, I don't know. Like, what are you checking right now?
pretty much what you're checking.
Okay. World of Books. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, we want Bukowski. We want Open City. Let's try this. Go. Um, oh my God, this is gonna be like every fucking issue of Open City because he wrote in every fucking issue of Open City. No results. Fuck. Okay, what about Adam? No results. Okay, we are fucked.
Yeah, the oldest open city I could find, at least on Abe, is 2005. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have a copy of Open City, the book, like anthologies that they were putting out. Um, but like they had some Open City um newspapers, but again,
Open City magazine. Yeah.
it only ran from, I mean, I could get more in the weeds here if you want. If we just look at notes of a dirty old man, and hopefully I won't knock this stack over again because that hurt like a motherfucker. For those of you who didn't know, because you guys couldn't have known because I didn't tell you, I dropped a giant stack of Bukowski books on my poor little baby foot, and it fucking hurt like a bitch. Okay, so I
Yeah.
have this super old copy of Notes of a Dirty Old Man, and there
Cool.
is a um. Oh, this was shipped to my PO box out in Landers, out in the desert. Um, More than a year ago, John Bryan began his underground paper, Open City, in the front room of a small two-story house. Okay, more than a year ago. And this was in 1969. Okay, so more than a year ago, 1969 would be 68 would be a year ago, and maybe 67. Okay, so that checks out. Open City, Open City. Yeah, good, good, good. Oh my gosh. Oh no, those are just the publications. Because I was really hoping that City Lights would have put like an actual um bibliography in the back of the book saying where these fucking stories came from. And so now I'm wondering if it's in the back of
Mm-mm.
Nope, it's not. God damn it.
Yeah, it's on the back of mine either.
But honestly, the intro to Notes of a Dirty Old Man is like one of the best like little forewords in the world. I love it. It's so good.
Oh, I'd have to go pull it off my bookshelf downstairs.
Yeah,
But yeah, I used to read that all the time when I was had my old apartment. I was like going to the laundromat. I would just always take that with me and read it.
what else did you want to talk about with this story?
I really just kind of wanted to go over like just like your thoughts on it and like any kind of like specific tropes or like themes that kind of like popped out to you whenever you were reading it.
I don't want to say that it's toxic, But you're like, the whole fucking thing's toxic. What are you talking about? But like, just the idea where like she puts a pin through her nose and he's like, don't do that. That hurts me. Do you think I'm pretty? She asked. Yes, of course. But there's something else. There's more than your looks. People are always accusing me of being pretty. Do you really think I'm pretty? Pretty isn't the word. It hardly does you fair. Cass reached into her handbag. I thought she was reaching for her handkerchief, and she came out with a long hat pin. Before I could stop her, she had run that long hat pin through her nose, sideways, just above the nostrils. I felt disgust and horror. She looked at me and laughed. Now do you think I'm pretty? What do you think of me now? I pulled the hairpin out and held my handkerchief over the bleeding. Several people, including the bartender, had seen the act, and the bartender came down. Look, he said to Cass, you act up again and you're out. We don't need your dramatics here. Oh, fuck you, man, she said. Better keep her straight, the bartender said to me. She'll be all right, I said. It's my nose, said Cass. I can do what I want with my nose. No, I said, it hurts me. You mean it hurts you when I stick a pin in my nose? Yes, it does. I mean it. All right, I won't do it again. Cheer up. She kissed me, rather grinning through the kiss and holding the handkerchief to her nose. And she's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, when she had the pins in her eyes, which I don't understand, like, if anyone ever actually did that. Like, was that really a
It's
fad?
probably just him, like, just, I don't know. Did he mean like, that's the thing, because he said under.
Yeah, it would
So,
have to be
like,
like under your eyeball, right? Like, I'm sure you
or
could,
like,
but like, he's like, take that shit out. Like, why are you trying to destroy you? And under each eye, driven in, were two pins with glass heads. All you can see were the glass heads of the pins, but the pins were driven down into her face. God damn you, still trying to destroy your beauty, huh? No, it's the fad, you fool. You're crazy. I've missed you, she said. Is there anybody else? No, there isn't anybody else. Just you. But I'm hustling. It costs $10, but you get it free. Pull those pins out. No, it's the fad. It makes me very unhappy. Are you sure? Hell yes, I'm sure. Cass slowly pulled the pins out and placed them into her purse. Why do you haggle your beauty? I asked. Why don't you just live with it? Because people think it's all I have. Beauty is nothing. Beauty won't stay. You don't know how lucky you are to be ugly. Because if people like you, you know it's for something else. Okay, I said, I'm lucky. And all this other shit. But it's like she had to do these things and she seemed okay with it because it hurt him, and that seemed to be a good enough reason, like almost a romantic reason. And I'm like that has not aged well. And I probably shouldn't
yeah,
Bukowski shit aging well, but it's just like it's a strange thing that him writing that was like not profound, but like, oh, look at how like um progressive he is, that he's afraid of her uglying herself because it hurts him,
yeah,
and then she's like, but you don't know how lucky you have it being ugly, because then like people, like if people like you, it's because they really like you and not because you're pretty, but a lot of people like Bukowski because they thought he was famous and they thought that
yeah.
he could help them, so like he had a different kind of pretty.
Yeah, I mean, with the nose scene, like I agree, and then I also kind of looked at it even just a more of like a psychological way, because even just like gender aside, someone you don't know in a bar, whether or not you find them attractive, they just like stab their nose. I mean, that's just like what the fuck is happening?
For real.
And how does one who's already probably had a few in their system try to de-escalate a situation? And maybe that's not the most smartest way to do it. I remember like when especially because back then, I mean, mental health was so like just overlooked all the time. So like no one knew how to handle people who were like suicidal and things like that, because it's like when they're talking about stuff, it's like, well, I care, so like you shouldn't do that, and that's not really the right way to handle things. But
Yeah.
sometimes I think people just don't know how else to handle something intense like that. But I think it's interesting because there's like this clear, like an ongoing theme I see like in that too is just like her obvious issue with beauty, because it's kind of like a double-edged sword where she uses it in certain ways like promiscuously, but then also it's kind of like
She hates
it's
it.
like a shield and a weapon. Yeah, it's like she hates it, but then also like she needs it because it's like the only validation she understands,
Yeah.
you know?
And without it, she wouldn't be able to like hustle and she'd have a
Exactly.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. It's her weapon and her shield at the same time. And then it's just always back and forth, back and forth. And especially when they're like talking about like the five sisters, what is it? Scrolling. I did not, I should have just highlighted this bad boy, but I didn't. Um, her father had died of alcohol and her mother had run off, leaving the girls alone. The girls went to a relative who then placed them in a convent.
Now, some
Um,
of that is Jane, but that's also Linda. Linda's dad died of alcoholism. And like there's that scene in Women where
mm,
at dinner and she's like, "Yeah, my dad died, and that's probably why I'm with this guy." And she jerked a thumb at him. You know what I'm saying? Um, but like she didn't like alcohol because the dad died of alcoholism and her ex-husband was an alcoholic. She had been in places like uh mental places, Linda, but I don't know if she was ever in a convent. I think Jane was in a convent for a short stint to try to like,
gotcha.
but so it's just like the most beautiful woman in town or the most beautiful girl in town. Yeah, why were you reading that line? Like what was that saying to you?
I think it just had to do with psychology and her just not like, so obviously dad dies of alcoholism, mother goes away, her sisters are jealous of her, they're in a convent. So it's like her, and she's only 20. And so it's like her entire, upbringing and or lack thereof has just been like super neglectful and not understanding like what love is. And this is the one thing that men seem to like out of her. And he's noticing that she's more than just that. And he explains how, she dances, she can like manipulate and do like all these crafts and stuff, which kind of made me think of Linda too, because I think he said Clay or
Yeah,
something.
he did
You
say
look really quick.
that's what I'm talking about. Like how the
But Cass had mind and spirit. She painted, she danced, she sang, she made things of clay. And when
like how the
people.
fuck did
Yeah,
he know before he knew her unless he went back and rewrote it. And if he did go back and rewrite it, we need to find the original fucking version of this and go, why
yeah,
the fuck did Linda make him rewrite this fucking story? Not that she
right.
him, but I can see him going, hey, look, kid, I put you in this thing. Now you're the most beautiful woman in town. And she's like, ugh, I'm not like that. Like, don't fucking do that. Okay, so there's that. Okay. Another thing that I think is funny about this story, and it's this whole thing about perspective, because like
Yeah,
she's like, "Do you want it now or in the morning?" And he looked at her and he says, "In the morning." And so they go to sleep and he makes coffee the next morning, brings it to her, and she's like, "You're the only person who ever wanted to wait." And he's like, yeah. And it's like, oh, like you must be like something better, because you're wanting to wait. But it's because he's a fucking alcoholic and he probably had whiskey dick. Because like,
exactly.
yeah,
We
so
went to bed, and after I turned out the lights, Cass asked me, "When do you want it? Now or in the morning?" "In the morning," I said, and turned my back. In the morning, I got up and made a couple of coffees, brought her one in bed. She laughed. You're the first man I've met who's turned it down at night. It's okay, I said. We needn't do it at all. No, wait. I want to now. Let me.
But she doesn't know. She's not even, she's 20. She's like, oh, wow, looking for a father she's ever had. I mean, Freud enters Freud, left stage here. Um, yeah.
But it's just funny because like he writes that in there knowing obviously women hadn't come out yet. So I don't know how much people have known from his writing that he couldn't really get it going. Like he could get it going, he just couldn't finish it. You know what I'm saying? But then again, if this is pre 1970, he wasn't really fucking that many people. He was really only fucking Jane. And then, like, all of that shit went down. Jane died. He wasn't really fucking anybody.
No, and his like the way that I look at it, especially like when you read women and then you like compare it to just like the things that you actually know, it's like his sexual prowess, so to say, or bachelorhood, whatever, didn't even really peak till he was like 55,
Yeah.
when he was really like getting out there more.
Because I think, Linda, if we take everything in women for gospel, okay, which we should
Right.
we did,
No.
he said he hadn't been with a woman in 4 or 5 years when he met Linda. Okay. So um we can go back to like track girls and shit like that who it probably could have been. But then if he was with her and then it wasn't until after her that he started like dropping that dick in everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like
Word.
he had to have been like 55, 56 because like
Mm.
he could have been with Linda for at least 2 years, maybe three. And judging by the Taylor Hackford documentary, ooh, when did that come out? That's something we could
Oh.
out. When did Bukowski read at City Lights? The poster for the Bukowski reading at City Lights was the cover for Ejaculations, which means it had to have been after the book came out in 72. So they had already broken up and he had gotten together with the girl at Island Records, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, whose name sounded like Linda, but it wasn't Linda. I don't remember.
Mm.
But
I have Bukowski gave notable readings at City Lights Poets Theater in San Fran. I have September 14th, 73 and May 31st, 75. The 73 reading was recorded and released as the Poems and Insults album.
so that's the one with Taylor Hackford because those are the same ones that are in that. Okay, so then 73. Okay, so if they
Mm.
met in July of 1970, dude, this is how we fucking do it here. This is how we fucking do it. This is fucking Matlock Angela Lansbury shit up in this bitch. Okay, this is MacGyvering the timeline. Okay, so
The
July.
Investigative Girls.
Yeah, batch. Okay. So July 2nd, 1970, they meet after his reading at the bridge. And then in September of 73, they go to that, and that's when they have the big breakup. And then that's when he ends up with the girl. Now, let me figure this out. If we take women as gospel, he couldn't have possibly been with her from September all the way around to the next summer. Because remember, she said because Linda went to Mule's Head for the 4th of July thing. And when Linda called, she said, "Tell her to give me till September." And she's like, "I'm not giving that bitch anything." Like on the phone. Like, this is all been like,
Yeah.
so could he have been? He couldn't have been with her like a whole fucking almost year, could he have? Maybe he was with her for that long. And then so that would take us back to like September, like August 74. Then they get back together. I wonder if I could probably be doing other things with my time than trying to put this together right now, but I don't know. I get to be in my bonnet, girls. Trying to see if she talks about when they got back together and when she ended up moving to Arizona. Because I know she moved to Arizona. Okay, so this part she's in Arizona. And then this isn't in Women, but a little bit after that, he went out to Arizona to see her and stayed with her for a weekend. And there's a poem about that in that he reads live at a reading somewhere. And I can't remember what reading that is. So I'm just trying to find out, like, because if he was with that one chick from Island Records for almost a year, I didn't think it was that long.
I didn't, yeah, you're right. I
That's,
totally forgot about her in between. Right.
but I mean, I guess it checks out because when he talks about all the places that she took him, that makes sense. And then he didn't meet Linda Lee until he read at the Troubadour, but I don't know when that was.
I have 1971 during an argument, Bukowski broke King's nose,
Yeah.
which led to their temporary separation. 1973, letter from Bukowski to William Packard, dated September 11th, 1971, references a split with King, indicating they separated by that time in 71. However, subsequent letters suggest they reconciled after this period.
Yeah. I have all those letters too. I should just be looking through there. So, but there's a good possibility that he was with her for a good few years.
Yeah, because then it says that they concluded their relationship permanently in 1975, where that whole thing where like Bukowski, um, like how she threw like his typewriter and books and everything out on the street, that was apparently in 75. I don't know when in 75, but I just
That
have the general
eh,
year.
he was on the phone with her and he said, "Yeah, I just gave this woman money to go buy champagne and I don't know if she's coming back." And so,
Right.
like, "Don't tell me about your women." And then like he left and then the next day, like that's when his typewriter's getting smashed in the street. So that was 75, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
checks
what
out.
I'm
So
reading.
did she moved to Arizona after that? So yeah, so maybe like 75, 76, he went out and saw her again. Wow, so they were off and on for like 5 years. That checks out.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then that totally can work because him and her were together at the City Lights reading in 73. Wow, so he was with Liza, is her name.
That's right.
He was with
Yeah.
all fucking like that whole year. Wow.
I didn't realize that was like a literally a whole year.
Because in the documentary, he calls her up and says, "I'm coming to see you, and me and Linda are done." I mean, that makes sense because when he talks about all the places that they went to, because that's another thing about him, like all of the events that happen, like when you read about him, it seems like they happen like right on top of each other, but that's like years and years worth of shit that he just like all accumulated on top into like one to make it sound like he was this fucking mythological fucking creature. You know what I'm saying?
Deity, right? Totally.
Okay, so I could see him going, "Hey, if we're gonna put this book out, let me add a little bit to the most beautiful woman in town because I'm with her now." And if I have a
Hmm.
story called that and it's coming out, everyone's going to think it's about her. And if it isn't, she's going to get mad because she was fucking kind of crazy. And I've been with girls like that. I've had to fucking, okay, here, I'm going to let something out of the bag. I've had to fucking lie to girls and say songs I've written were about them because I knew if they knew I was singing a song that was about another girl, they would fucking break it off in me, dude. So, like,
Been there, dude. Been there. Totally. Redacted to the names, but yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Holmes too, dude. But I remember specifically there was one girl I was with for a while, and there were a bunch of songs I had about other girls. And I had to fucking come up with all sorts of like really creative ways to explain, no, baby, this song's about you, because you kind of said something sort of like this that one time. And I just changed the name of like Irvine to Las Vegas to make it like seem more cool, baby. It's fine.
We
Oh,
were douchebags in our youth. That's all we can say.
oh my God. I was just gonna say there's some really like poetic bits in this story. Like what were you gonna still talk about the story or were you moving to a different topic?
No, totally the story.
Yeah.
Um, because like especially in the beginning and even kind of throughout most heavily in the beginning he keeps like repeating her name so much. So it's like you can kind of tell that at least the way he's trying to narrate this is like he's still in mourning, but he still wants her to be like memorialized. So it's kind of like saying, well, this is who she was and this is who she is. And like it's like he's still gripping, in my opinion, with the acceptance, especially when you get to the end of the story.
Well, because like there's a lot of me that thinks, and this is really weird because he was such a heavy drinker, but he saw
Yeah.
alcohol kill Jane. And
Mhm.
like he knew leaving those bottles with her. Like, and he's like, don't drink those bottles. And she looked at him and she's like, motherfucker, I'm going to drink these bottles and I know it's going to kill me. So he knew that she knew that she was going to kill herself with the drink. But like, it's much more romantic to talk about it like slicing someone's throat.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know Adam was a adult gentleman's.
Gentleman's mag. Yeah.
So, and like knowing that Bukowski changed a lot of his stories for certain publications, like adding in like dirty sex and adding in like really raunchy kind of shit off of stories that he had already written. I wonder if also in this story, um, he made it a little more like,
Toned it down a little, at
no,
least compared to like
I
Notes of a
wonder.
Dirty Old Man.
No, but I wonder if there was a part of this story or a printing of this story that had like hardcore sex in it. And I wonder if there's a version of this story that's just about Jane as a woman who's 10 years older than him. But because this was in a men's magazine, he's like, I'm going to change it to like a hot, young 20-year-old. You know what I'm
Very
saying?
well could be. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest with you.
I feel like we have made more questions than we have found answers. And
Yeah.
that makes my Jessica Fletcher hurt a little bit.
I
But
guess with me, it's just like some things can be circumstantial, and like as a writer, like we've all just made up characters, right? And like maybe certain aspects like influenced how we morphed them. Like I've definitely like built a character that was so Frankenstein, it was like literally like three of my friends in one in like different cherry picked ways. So,
I do that all the fucking time. But the one thing
mm,
I haven't done is done something so like distinct, like, oh yeah, she was the youngest of five sisters, and then go, oh, I can't wait. In a couple of years, I'm gonna meet some chick that's the hottest and youngest of five sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just like a very like exact thing to just have it be um like a off chance thing. But I know what you're saying too about taking a character and making it like out of a bunch of different
because
people.
I could even like further, I mean, I agree with you, but just for the sake of debating it, like, especially then, I mean, you're looking at like boomer generations and the silent generation for the most part, because I guess he was technically the silent generation, right? Maybe. And so it's like those older generations tended to have like bigger families. So it wasn't that big of an exaggeration if there was like a family with like five kids at the same time too. But
Hmm.
I think there was definitely like my theory with this whole thing. I feel like it was definitely adapted for Linda, probably later in this version that we're reading now.
Yeah.
But who influenced it originally? Probably Jane. And then kind of when you were talking about Adam, like just like twisting it to cater to that audience with
Yeah.
making her younger. Especially like I think of, and it's kind of something I always look for, especially in like shorter fiction, is Poe's like object of unity, and it's the bottle in this. You know what I mean? Which yes, he talks about drinking in bottles a lot, but just the fact how it impacts and ends up being like Cass's demise, but also like was literally quite Jane's as well. There's a lot of mirroring there. And even just like with Jane and who she was and why he's like him, the care like the narrator, whatever, Bukowski, having this so much like emotional, like deep empathy for Cass. Because I mean, think about it. He is Bukowski. He's kind of a dick and he doesn't always give a shit about people. But
Yeah.
like with this, it was so different because he saw her alienation, he saw her rebellion, and he felt that in himself as well. And he could identify with her just like he did with Jane. So that's why I think like this whole story is all about like that fallen woman trope and like that just like complete, just like agony, of that defining trait being your demise.
Yeah. If he did a rewrite of this, and I don't need to be harping on this, but this is the kind of
It's fun, I think.
because it's like this is one of the things that's great about reading somebody who had a ridiculously long career, went through a ton of changes, and most of the stuff he wrote about was autobiographical.
Exactly.
Not all of it, but a lot of it. And the
A lot
stuff
of
that
it.
wasn't autobiographical was like stories he stole from other people. Like, and we're gonna when we get into Red, I think is it Red Strange or is it the other guy named Red? I don't know. There's some guy named Red who was a total piece of shit motherfucker that Bukowski kept around just because he would always get drunk and tell him the most ridiculous stories in the world
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
steal the story. So like the story about like killing the dog and like gutting the dog, that was Red. The story about like
The Men in the Machine, right? That's later in this book, I think.
the what?
It's like let me get the title. It was like the
Like
machine with the two guys.
he has the ice pick up his sleeve and he like throws it out and like he rides the train cars and like goes to each town and
Oh yeah.
that shit like all that shit's Red. So like there's certain people in his life who a lot of the Bukowski mythos is built up around, but was never Bukowski. Like Bukowski never wrote a train car, but he acted like he did. But he acted like
Mhm.
he did because he wrote a bunch of stuff about stories that Red told him. And when you watch like Born Into This
Yeah.
and you hear Tchaikovsky talk about like when they went to take the photos for the days runaway like horses over the hills or whatever, and Bukowski didn't know how to get on a boxcar.
Right.
Um, like the dad, Neely's dad, who was a hobo at one point, he's like, that dude's never ridden a train. Like he has no idea. And the picture of him on the thing, he looks so terrified and like just like the whole deal. So it's just like um he stole a lot of shit, but who fucking cares? This is the whole thing, like trying to figure out who he stole from. And that's the other thing about him. He never thought that people would be this interested in his shit that we would be able to like weave his bullshit together into other bullshit based on other bullshit and find out who the fuck he was talking about. He never knew that anyone would be able to fucking do that. Um
Right. He was just chasing the story and just
yeah, yeah,
going
yeah.
to the next page, literally.
Because like a lot of the shit he would write, he would send out and never get back. So he
Yep.
never really knew like how, because like this was a problem that Blazik had with him. Like Blazik thought that he was like a fucking genius. And then Blazik realized after knowing him for a while that he just writes the same stories over and over again and the same poems over and over again. But it was because he never knew what was published where and he would like get drunk and then go, "Oh shit, remember that time I did that thing? I'm gonna write a story about that." like completely not even aware if he had written a story about it, or maybe it was a thing where it was like, oh shit, I wrote a poem that was really good about this thing, but I don't know if that ever got published. I'll just fucking write it again and send it out somewhere else. So it'll be like a little bit different and shit. But like all of this like internet stuff, he did not foresee.
Because I was looking at it, I think it's actually really cool because we both kind of looked at it with a different focus. Like you were thinking about like connecting it more in like an autobiographical way, which I think is cool. And then I was looking at it more like in a literary way. So it's kind of neat how we kind of balance that out in a sense.
But like, what do you think his thing was? Like, why did he write this?
I think it really like came down to Jane, but I think there's just like a few different focuses, whether it's about beauty, about Jane, and like the self destruction of that, and then there's also just like alienation, outcast, society stuff. Because he was always like, so my cat is scratching his cat post, but you can't see it through my little screen thing.
So do you think
Anyway,
beauty a bit and the alienation was also about him and how he like he thought he was this ugly person because everyone says it, but he's so pretty on the inside, and if people only knew, then blah blah blah. Like, do you think
they
that
did it for each other. That was the whole point. Was just like the swap in that sense because they are both in their own different ways outcasts, right? If we're looking at, the narrator and Cass. And, she found beauty in him and he found more than just physical beauty in her. And that was like their own like sense of balance between each other because they both felt seen in one way or another, regardless of how maybe genuine it might have been. And that's why the death made such a lasting effect on him per the story because it was like she didn't care about, she like straight up just said she didn't like people that were like wasn't into people who were like good looking and all this stuff. And yeah, she didn't care. She didn't judge him. She just wanted to hang out. And it was nice for him to actually feel, like someone actually was interested in him in any way, shape, or form.
I never even thought of it like that. I never ever ever thought any more than that. So this is going to be really interesting because you are coming at a lot of this stuff literarily speaking, and I
Mhm.
never think about the literary anything with him because I look at it as like a friend of mine who's hurting, who wants to tell me how they feel but can't tell me, so they're going to write a story that's very autobiographical but without saying why, and I have to like fill in the gaps so I could help my friend. Like that's
Yeah, like you're super historical with it because you're like, I want to know exactly where this is coming from because I'm picking up on these different characters. And I do like a little bit of that. I just kind of go with like my gut assumption. I'm like, okay, this is probably something around like Jane
definitely
influenced.
lean into
But yeah.
lean into it hard because like I'm
Oh, totally. I do all the time.
learning stuff from you that I never would have even thought of. And so it's going to be kind of like going through all of these for the first time all over again. And it's
Mhm.
really, really rare that you get to lose your virginity twice. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's fun.
I did want to read the end of this because like if you don't want the end of the story ruined, you shouldn't have been listening to this podcast. Because we should probably have musical bumpers and all that other fucking stupid bullshit that podcasts have that make people think podcasts are worth listening to. Fuck you, people. So
Keep that in there. You tell them.
keep
I
that.
mean,
That's what she said.
we
Okay.
can gradually add more fancy stuff as we go, but I feel like we can just roll with it for now. I mean, you're the one that's editing this for the most part, so I mean, that's all gonna be up to you.
Okay, I might play. I might play. This is on page 6 of the City Lights version. After I was fairly drunk, the bartender said to me, I'm sorry about your girlfriend. What is it? I asked. I'm sorry, didn't you know? No. Suicide. She was buried yesterday. Buried? I asked. It seemed as if she would walk through the doorway at any moment. How could she be gone? Her sisters buried her. A suicide? You mind telling me how? She cut her throat. I see. Give me another drink. I drank until closing time. Cass, the most beautiful of five sisters, the most beautiful in town. I managed to drive to my place and I kept thinking, I should have insisted she stay with me instead of accepting that no. Everything about her indicated that she had cared. I had simply been too offhand about it, lazy, too unconcerned. I deserved my death and hers. I was a dog. No, why blame the dogs? I got up and found a bottle of wine and drank from it heavily. Cass, the most beautiful girl in town, was dead at 20. Outside, somebody honked their automobile horn. They were very loud and persistent. I set the bottle down and screamed out, God damn you, son of a bitch, shut up! The night kept coming on in, and there was nothing else I could do, or nothing I could do. Now, the reason why I read all that is because the only actual grieving, like outwardly, that he did was him screaming at a horn outside. Like all of this stuff in this paragraph right here about how he felt and how he should have done this and he should have done that and he didn't do it and he didn't know what to do and he sat at the bar drinking all night and then he went home and he drank that fucking bottle of wine and he was just like building up and building up. This whole thing, this whole story was just to get him to ejaculate this right here. God damn you, son of a bitch, shut up. Like that is the only fucking like grief. And the funny thing is that like he says throughout the whole fucking thing, um like take those out. That hurts me. Don't do that. That hurts me. Like he talks about this pain he has and all this shit, but he doesn't like actually ever have it. And so this fucking thing right here at the very fucking end, that whole buildup is just to me, just for that fucking thing right there. Like that's the only part of him having basic fucking human emotion outwardly that he
Internalizing it, right? In a sense, until that happens, and that's his little outlet of deflection, essentially.
that's
The
his
night kept coming on in, and there was nothing I could do. I just love that ender, that
he
last line.
stuff so fucking good. And I really feel like again, this is why people compared him with Raymond Carver and they got
Mhm.
lumped in together because Raymond Carver does that too. Like he will end stuff like just like and then it's just like that's the end and you're like what the fuck, but like oh,
Right.
that's such a great fucking end. But you are right too about like how he repeats her name and her title, Cass, the most beautiful girl in town, like Cass, the one of five sisters, Cass, the da 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 da. Like you can't just say her name and be on with it. You have to say her name, give her title, give her royalty, give her fucking shit, and
An
then
elegy in a sense, right? Because like you very rarely see her. It's literally Cass, Cass, Cass until the end when he's internalizing. He starts saying her a little bit more. But yeah,
and why do we both think that is it because the long black hair? I just picture the hair straight. And I think the only person with long straight black hair was the belly dancer. Like I can't think of
that
another.
I know of. And
Yeah.
she liked dancing, but that's the thing. It's like Frankenstein. But like I look at it like beyond aesthetics, I just think of like the soul. And like to me, the soul is Jane.
Yeah.
At
But
least
again,
the majority of it.
I didn't know the belly dancer yet either. Like the belly
Mm-hmm.
dancer,
It
like
became like way later, like what, like the 80s, I guess, early 80s at that point.
76, 77.
Yeah, it was post Linda, right?
It was post Linda and it was during Linda Lee.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Because it was
Well,
at like
right
the
around that.
very end of Women. Yeah.
What was her fucking name in that?
Oh, I don't remember.
Said, I'm pregnant. And he said, who's the father? And she's like, what does it matter? And he says, you're right. That might be why. Because in the story, he says, what's your name? And she says, what does it matter? And he laughs while they're fucking. That's a story from Jane. When he first met Jane, he fucked her and he asked what her name was and she didn't tell him. That's a little bit of Jane and a little bit of the belly dancer. I want to say
Iris, an Indian Canadian belly dancer, met
Iris.
while he was giving a reading in Canada.
Yeah. Iris Duarte. That's her name. Well, there you go. And
Yeah,
we've solved all of the riddles except the ones we haven't solved. We're on top of this shit.
on top.
Is there a interview or um reading or anything that you want to do for next time?
Well, I feel like since we brought it up, I think it'd be kind of like a fun little segue if we can find the 1973 reading Poems and Insults. I think you can actually get it on like Apple Music and like everywhere.
It's
But
everywhere.
that'd be a cool one to do. Yeah.
It's on
I use Apple, so I think I downloaded that one before. I love his readings. They're so funny.
they're really good. And that has like one of my favorite poems of his, and it's the only place where that poem exists, which drives me fucking crazy. But yeah, cool. Let's do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And if anyone has any types of like suggestions, comments, questions, whatever, and you don't feel like putting it in the chat or anything or in the comments, you can always give us an email at bukowskipod@gmail.com.
Basketball@gmail.com. Woo!
Ow! And currently the inbox is empty because I'd be looking. I'd be
Oh,
lurking.
hey, guess what? My inbox, just a little update,
Oh, okay.
I've gotten 5 emails since we've started this episode, by the way, but we are at
Ew.
7,605.
That should be blurred out. That is explicit content for my brain.
Dude, I have been noticing how many people are completely freaked out by that. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people like do not like that I have a very hefty inbox. Yeah, that's bad. Oh, 27,606. Okay. I got it down so low. Not really. I got it down to like 25. Okay, so this is really exciting. So next time we're doing poems and insults. You're fine now, by the way. Uh,
Awesome.
I'm super excited. This is like one of my favorite things. So this is going to be like more fun than you could shake a fucking stick at. We'll probably end up talking a lot about the Taylor Hackford documentary since all of the video footage of this reading is like filmed by him at that thing.
Mhm.
So this is really fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Blood rag, because it says that. What does it say? Nope, not that.
Make copies. Post everywhere. Bukowski Pod. The Bukowski Podcast.
Brought to
Oh, I
you.
can't read it.
It's like a thing, like brought to you in part by Bukowski Pod, the Bukowski Podcast. Look for it on Substack, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Well, don't do that yet. Just do those first two. Okay, but yeah, so if you want a awesome poetry sheet that is free, if you go to ihatemattwall.com/the-blood-rag, because I'm an idiot and don't know how to make a good URL, you can download this copy of the Blood Rag for free, along with all other 16 issues plus the Poet of the Year issue. But this issue has poems from me, Matt Wool, Bunny Wild, Jeff Taylor, Rich Boucher, Ethan McGuire, Michael Sieber, or Sieber. God damn it. I think it's Sieber. Michael, I'm really sorry. Michael Sieber and Adam, the man, Crawford.
Yes,
I
the
don't know,
man Crawford.
I don't know if he's gonna like that name. The
He'll
man's
forgive us.
down. Okay. So anyway, so go pick that up. It's really, really cool. I have a new book that'll probably be out by the time you get this. It's the biggest chapbook I've put together in years. It's 56 pages. It's the first print chapbook I have made in 1 year because my last one, What the Fuck is Happening, came out in March of 2024. This one, The Road to West Hollywood, came out in 2 days in the future, but in your past, it's already out. God damn it. Time Cop. Yeah.
Back to the Future
Yeah.
fantasy.
So anyway, 31 poems. You could go to mountwallart.com to pick that up and look at all of that shit. And Shaylin has all sorts of shit to hawk too. Oh my God, she's ready.
Yes, if you need some coming of age shit with fucking around and finding out, fornicating with the elements, you
Oh,
want a lesbian situationship, pheromones on ShaylynMarks.com.
the fornicating one you have there. Did you,
Mhm.
what is that on a gold? Um,
No, it's like craft paper, and then on the inside, I got like these like old scroll like pages. I don't know why it's so damn blurry because I thought I had this accidentally on portrait mode and I turned it off, so I don't know why it's still doing
that's the
this.
thing. Okay, because those pages look great. I love the antique shit. But when you show the cover, it looks like a shiny gold. Like my
Oh, that's weird.
like what's the one I have called? Me as an action figure.
Oh yeah, no, it's not gold at all. It's like a brown craft paper. It could just because like the sun's starting to set over here, and then like the brightness for my thing makes it look a little different.
So it's more like shit poems paper.
Kind of, yeah. Hmm.
All right, that makes
But it's
sense.
just like that brown like craft paper.
Okay, and that one has extra poems than were in the fornicating that was in
Hmm.
Bloodshed review. Anyway, oh my God, poems and insults. This is gonna be so much fun. I'm so fucking excited.
I'm so pumped, dude, because it's such a good one.
It is. Like Shaylin said, if you have anything to say or any comments or questions or recommendations, go over to it bukowskipod@gmail.com. Is that what the email is? Okay.
Not the, but just BukowskiPod at Gmail. I'll
Bukowskipod@gmail.com.
put it in the show notes on the Substack too if you're listening to this via audio, folks. That was a lot of fun. And I just like going like down like the rabbit hole too with like Linda and everything. I thought that was like a lot of fun.
It's really
I don't
fun.
know. I like all that kind of stuff.
Whenever I like start reading a book by Bukowski, I end up with a pile of books next to me because I have to like go dig through all these other books to try to find stuff. I can't just fucking read a book like a normal fucking person and enjoy myself.
It's because he's different than like a lot of other authors because he like lets so much of his like personal life into his writing. It makes you want to know the tea because, like you said before, and that's one of the reasons I've always said I've liked Bukowski is because like when you're reading his poetry, especially, it's like you're listening to a friend telling you about like their crazy like weekend they just had or whatever. So it makes sense like why you want to dig for more, you know.
See
See ya,
ya.
man. Bye.
I got up and found a bottle of wine and drank from it heavily. Cass, the most beautiful girl in town, was dead at 20. Outside, somebody honked their automobile horn. They were very loud and persistent. I sat the bottle down and screamed out, "God damn you, you son of a bitch, shut up!" The night kept coming on in, and there was nothing I can do.